And hopefully the mic works. They will be able to now. Hello. Hopefully everyone can hear us. Can I get a little comment in the chat if we're live? We can see ourselves. We'll show you in a second, but you can see us waving frantically there pretty much for it. Obviously, we have a slight delay in the chat, so we're just checking. Don't fall. Okay. Hello, everyone. I realize my head is blocking some people. Everyone wants to squeeze around for a minute. You'll be able to see our the National Robotarium team. Oh, squeeze around. So welcome everyone to the National Robotarium Robotics and Autonomous Systems Lab stream. So we're currently in what we call our RAS lab, which, as you might guess, Robotics and Autonomous Systems. With us today, we've got an excellent and quite eclectic group of people when it comes to both knowledge, background, and what we actually do within the Robotarium. So I'm just going to pass around. Everyone's just going to say who they are, what we do a bit, before we then get into the really good, interesting stuff, which is when you actually get to explore our lab a little bit and use some of our robots. We do have the chat, which we will be monitoring. It'd be great to see any questions you've got, any points. Obviously, if you can't hear us and you see me talking but nothing's coming out, please tell us in the chat. And yeah, perfect. Great. Good to see where people are watching from. So we've got perfect Claire from London, and we've got Manala from Berkshire. Fantastic. Right, I'm going to pass around, and I think I will go to probably my right first.
Hi, my name is Marta Vallejo. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Mathematical and Computer Science, and my background is in data optimization, machine learning, and deep learning.
Hi, folks. My name is Blair Wilson, and I work at the Robotarium in the Industry and Schools Engagement team, and I will also be your spot handler for today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sabat Bashir, and I also work at the National Robotarium as part of the Industry and Schools Engagement team.
Hello, everyone. I am Emanuele. I'm a PhD student in the Edinburgh Centre for Robotics, and I'm working with robots and autonomously decisions making, and I'll be working behind the scene now.
Hey everyone, I'm Jonah. I'm a first-year PhD student, mainly focused in bio-inspired software robotics, and I'll also be sort of behind the scenes.
And I did just realize that I introduced the room, and everyone else introduced themselves, and I introduced myself. My name is Alice McConnell. I'm an assistant professor in mathematics and computer science as well, primarily with a background in healthcare robotics and soft robotics as well. And I will be the general person running around today after the robots, making sure things hopefully work. So what we're going to do first, I'm just going to put on a little video briefly about some of the work and some of the robots that we do here while we make sure everything is turned on ready, and then we'll explain exactly what you're able to do today. Okay, so we will just switch over. There will be no audio on this video initially, but we will actually talk through some of what you will be seeing quite soon. Fantastic. Okay, and we'll be back in just 1 minute once we turn on the audio, once we turn on the robots. So I would say again, of course, remember, if you do have any questions, please pop them in the chat. We will have some time during the event, so we're going to do a few opportunities or activities, but you will have the time as well to talk to each of the people that you have already been introduced to, maybe a bit about what they did when they were at school, more of their background, why they are interested in robotics and AI, and really whatever they fancy talking about as well. So what you're actually currently seeing in our video here is our Kairos platform that we've been using quite a lot for both monitoring and at this point actually doing a bit of buffering or buffing, sorry, on our a couple of our test pieces. Now, 1 second, we're just going to turn on our Spot robot, and then we'll turn on our double robot as well. So now you can see our Spot robot. Now, this is the top-down view that you're going to be seeing quite often today. We actually do have a couple other views that we will be showing you as well, integrating so you can see live both what the robot sees, not the Spot. One of our other robots will be able to see, and you'll also be able to control that robot as well. So you'll get a really quite interesting and fun experience that we hope. What the Spot is doing currently is very carefully navigating its way around a small assault course that we set up for the robot. And what we're wanting people to do is we're going to give you a chance to join and follow exactly what the Spot's doing. So you get to go around the same route. You get to go back. You don't have to do it in reverse. This is our robotic operator showing off his skills. Fantastic. Now, if you can move Spot just to the side a little bit so we have some clear room. Perfect. And maybe we'll get Spot to sit. Okay, so what we're now going to do is in the chat, we will post a link if you would like to join it to control one of our robots. All you have to do is click on the link, follow the instructions provided, and you will be led through. So we'll just go a brief summary. You'll be led through a page where you actually be able to click. You'll have to sign in or just put your name, go into the robot, and then you'll be given control. Now, if you're controlling this via or watching this via a laptop, it's straightforward. You could use the arrow keys to control everything. We'll show you exactly how it's done. If you're controlling it via phone, you will have a similar option, but of course you will not have arrow keys. You'll actually have something come up on the display of your phone. If there are any problems, if you are worried for the robot, we will be monitoring how the robot is doing. So at the same time, if we are worried that the robot has veered off course or anything, we will be there to make sure it is operated safely. But yeah, what you have to do is get right from where the robot is, and you would see this all the way to that. Have a look at our mystery robot that we have in the center there, and then go back to where you started. We will be timing it, and we do have a leaderboard that we will write up the best scores of the day. Okay, 1 second, and I will just post the link. We should say as well, it is only one person at a time who can connect to it. Anyone else who does attempt to connect afterwards will have a small Easter egg from our side pretty much for it, befitting with the generation that we are. And so we will be able to see, hopefully, quite soon that someone has connected, stepped their way through, and should be soon operating the robot. Remember, folks, any problems at all with the instructions, please just give us a message on here and we will go and probably turn the robot off and on again as quick as we can. Just a quick reminder, right at the bottom of the instructions, there is a button that says start teleop. Hit that button and hopefully you can start the teleoperation of our robot.
Yeah, so as Alistair was saying, there's only one person who can teleop the robot at a time. So if you see the Rick Astley song, that means that someone's already connected, and then you can just try again with the next link. So someone should be connected right now, and we'll just quickly getting that set up. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about my experience so far doing my PhD. I'm only a year in, or one academic year, not even a full year. So this is sort of a very naive perspective of it so far. But honestly, so far, it's been an absolute dream. When I was finishing my undergrad in mechanical engineering, I knew that I wanted to do something where I'd have a lot of freedom to work on a lot of different systems, because I'm sort of a jack of all trades, master of none. And so I wanted something where I would get to like have a lot of involvement with sort of every aspect of a project. And I was looking at potential job openings, and none of those really applied. A lot of jobs sort of siphon you down one specific path, which I didn't find particularly exciting or appealing. I knew I wanted to just sort of like play with robots and sort of make exciting things. And a PhD so far has been that. It's been a lot of fun just sort of getting to be in the lab and build things that I want to build in the field of robotics. So I've been enjoying that.
Is that a new link? Okay. If we can try again with the link, that would be great. Now, just remember, if you do connect, because it is only one person connecting, what we need you to do is hit the link, go down, and click Start Teleop pretty much for it. If you can't do it, please give us a message in the chat, but don't just jump on and then not do anything, preferably, because then we have to reset it for the next person. You're connected up. Fantastic. Right. Well, hopefully in a second, you'll be able to actually drive the robot. We'll just switch the view. Mute me, please. We see life. This is always good to see in the robot. Which is always the interesting fact. So it's unparked. Perfect. Right. Now, we didn't think about that part. Okay, now you've managed to extend it all the way up. You should hopefully have a good view of the whole area pretty much. And your objective is to be able to follow what the spot was doing before, but you actually be able to see on the ground. It's the great thing from the view you can see is a mark on the ground. So we've taped out an exact route. And so what you need to do is just use your arrow keys to guide it about. There we go. I will, but I need...
Almost at the end position. Just need to go a little bit to the left. Other left. Oh, reverse it. Okay, nice. Yeah. Nice smooth driving. And the good thing about going first is no matter what, this will be a record time. No. A little bit further. If you just keep going a little bit more, yeah, there you go. And yeah, you should be able to stop about there. Nice job. Woo, round of applause.
Well done.
Some great teleoperation. And then if you just push the P to park it, it should stop rocking around. Oh, I should have stopped the timer. But that was a time of 2 minutes, 18 seconds. So very good. That is the record right now. Fastest lap. So great job. Great. And then shortly we'll be creating a new link so that someone else can join in and try and beat the record time right now of 2 minutes, 18 seconds. So if you feel your shot at trying to beat that time, click on that link, which will be in the chat very shortly.
Whose phone is it?
Okay, so first one's a success. Are we writing that on the leaderboard in just a second? Now we will set up the next link again, and that should be us ready to go for the second one. Okay, great. We've had another person connect. So just while they are connecting, going through our instructions, again, you're going to see a little bit more of the robots we use. So at the National Robotarium, we really do a huge variety of robotics. We've got work in human-robot interaction, in healthcare robotics. What you're actually seeing just now is some of our more industrial robotics, some of our agri-tech robotics. So we do work now really like how can we use robotics and automation and AI to improve, say, the yield of farmers' crops. In this case, actually, what you're seeing is our Husky platform actually deployed in the field, being used both for actually manipulation and even some soil sampling as well. And it's probably one of our muddiest robots to date. We've also been using it a bit for mapping. So this is something where our LiDAR system that we have on top, if you wonder what is spinning on our robot, then it's something which we do use to actually do mapping and navigation. So that's an excellent question, Manala. So what are the possible teleoperation applications in everyday life in different disciplines? So during COVID, obviously, sadly, a lot of us were all in lockdown, and one of the big things for that was then actually, say, doing inspection, or actually even just having people in conferences. So potentially when everyone got back to conferences in some countries with different lockdown ideas, teleoperations could be used for robots to come along and be almost the embodiment of a person at a conference. We actually use them quite a lot in our healthcare robotics. So this is really a huge area of, can we help reduce the feeling of loneliness amongst the elderly by having a teleoperation robot in their home, potentially with a GP or their family talking to them whenever they can. So this is something we are investigating as well. We use them potentially in care homes. And actually one of the big ones is really inspection. So if you imagine the Spot robot that you saw, that robot can have obviously telepresence on it. Now, the big thing there, you want to put that in a dangerous area. So we quite often work in robots in extreme environments. We want to make sure that we take a human out of a dangerous area and let the robot go into that dangerous area. And then we can use the telepresence robots to do the inspection, the manipulation, whatever we want for it. Now, if you just give me 1 second, I'm just going to check how the system's actually going so we can get on to the robot. If you are connected to the robot, if you could just sort of put a little message in chat saying you are, it'd just be good to see just as we're waiting for the robot to connect. A little bit more on the teleoperation Spot.
Yes, it can be also used for elderly people that in a way live alone. You can create a system that, for example, spot when a person in a way could fall, and use the robotic system to people if some alert in a way is raised. In this case, you can in a way be sure that if something happened to you, you are going to receive the appropriate support.
Thank you very much, Marta. Okay, we're still waiting on the robot to connect. 1 second, we'll just check what's happening here.
Yeah, so if you connect and it's not able to go all the way through, we're gonna have to disconnect you just so we can get other people connected. But you can always try again later. But let us know how far you got to it, and we can try and help sort of troubleshoot the process of connecting to the robot. So yeah, just feel free to post in chat if you're struggling to get connected to the robot. If it does say that the teleop session has already started, then that means that someone is connected, and you can just wait until the next link comes out. But yeah, let us know in chat how you're getting on. So the link should be up and running again. The one that we just posted up in the chat again. So if someone wants to try and connect, you can quickly try join and let us know how we're getting on. It seems like someone is connected. So you should just be able to scroll through the instructions and then should hit start teleop, which should take you over to the webpage to control the actual robot itself. And then the time to beat is 2 minutes, 18 seconds around the track. And we also have a question from Jack, which is, can the robot handle novel objects? How does it figure out how to grasp? And also, how can it figure out how can it handle transparent objects? That is a very good question. That's not particularly my area of expertise. I'll maybe pass you over to someone who does vision stuff. Marta?
Well, you can do it, but you need to train the robots with collecting a lot of data about objects that are transparent, and then the robot could do it. The only thing is like you have to think that for the robot to be able to look properly, you need to, in a way, be sure that the robot knows how are the objects with different type of lights and different type of backgrounds, which makes the task complex.
This is a blistering pace that's been set.
You have arrived to the middle.
You have made it to the destination. I just got to do the turnaround and drive it back.
Come back. Yeah.
Nice. 1 minute is the lap time so far, so it's on track to beat the current record. Some very smooth driving and cornering. So one of the things which obviously makes it a little bit more difficult to control the robot is like the latency that you'll see just via connection through Wi-Fi, which is one of the big challenges, which is sort of trying to be solved by the teleoperations field right now, is trying to reduce that latency and find ways of sort of interpolating the user input so that the output is really smooth. But that is it. Good job. That's a 1 minute 34 seconds blistering pace. Very good. Yep. And if you just want to press the P, you should be able to park the robot. So it should just be a P button on the teleop page, and then it should stop sort of wiggling about. Nice. Good time. 1 minute 34. Very impressive.
So 1 minute 34. 34? Fantastic. An excellent time. There's a stiff competition for us. So something we will do in a minute is get our spot expert Blair to do another lap with the spot and see if he can set a blistering pace. He will have to reverse the spot right back without pancaking our other robot pretty much for it. I would say that should be fine. So we are now going to let him set a safe pace. And here we go, off a gallop. 31. So this is something that you might have wondered why I got Blair to do this and why we're showing both the Spot and the double robot as well. And I want you to have a think when we've said about telepresence robots before, really the difference here. So while Spot has a big manipulator on it, it is fast. Our double robot is not as fast. It can do quite good in a straight line. It doesn't have a manipulator. They've both achieved the same goal within maybe a minute's difference. But I want you to have a think. Which one, potentially, would you prefer to have in your house to maybe care for you and to walk around your house? For me, parts of my house are quite small. I feel that the double is definitely a lot less intrusive and a lot safer, I would say, in that kind of context to work with. But if I need something picked up, if I drop something that I can't get, well, that's really when we need the Spot. So there's a different robot for a different situation. So what's that? I did not know I have to reverse lap as well. I have a question regarding the sensory feedback. While teleoperating, what are some challenges teleopera has, like limited view? That's an excellent question. So this is something we deal with in robotics a lot, is how do you actually really sort of feel effectively what the robot is? How do you know where it is? How do you know what it's interacting with? So as you pointed out, your view that you really had of the robot was either through a top camera or through a base camera. And it's excellent you have the base camera. On our Spot, we have 360 cameras around it. On the Husky robot that you saw within the video, you actually have the LiDAR and another camera and depth camera as well. For physical feedback, we have worked occasionally with different types of haptics. So maybe a vibration-based haptic if you're gripping something, or a pressure type one. So you have a glove on, and then it might actually squeeze your hand if you're squeezing an object. But that requires extra feedback as well. So something where you have purely just a remote control and the arrow keys, that's a little bit trickier. But we could give you maybe more indicators of lights or things like that. I'm just going to pass you on for other ideas as well.
Yeah, every robot has some kind of sensors that collect data, and this data is what it makes you aware of the environment. It's like a human being. You have some senses, and from these sensors, you make you understand your environment. Then it depends on the sensors the robot has. This will limit the capacities of the robot. Then if you have, for example, some camera that is only available to see some area of, for example, your flat, if you have something in the floor that the robot doesn't see, they can, in a way, step over it. And also what I mentioned before, the lights, the different type of lights, perhaps the robot cannot really operate during the night. Or, for example, if the robot is able to understand some sounds, if you live in a place that is very noisy, or you have the TV on, this also can limit the capability of the robot. But it will always depend on the data that you are able to collect.
Yeah, I don't have too much more to add to that. I mean, I guess a good example of some of that data collection is that the data collection is also only as good as the robot is able to acquire from the environment. So with one of the other double robots, which we were using earlier for testing, we found that the reflection on the shiny floor in the National Robotarium here was actually causing a lot of issues with the camera-based guidance that it uses. And so it wasn't actually able to reach a target position because it wasn't able to acquire good camera data. This could also be the case if the camera gets obscured by something. So if like a piece of dirt enters up on the camera, then it's going to be it's going to really struggle to acquire the data that needs to be able to position itself, which is another one of the big challenges for roboticists.
So we're just going to take a couple minutes while I reset a couple of the robots and get them all set up. It's an excellent question. So again, I'm just going to go over and set this up. We will change the screen slightly, but we will be answering the questions still while we're going, unless we have to keep the screen on. So I will pass this back to Jonah currently.
So what is the question? Is it possible to use the operator's head movement for virtual input? Yeah, this is definitely a possibility, and especially with more recent developments in augmented reality or virtual reality technology, it's very, very capable for a feed from a robot to be actually transmitted through that, which makes it much more intuitive. Which is sort of one of the big things, is like how intuitive it is to communicate and control the robot is a big thing for making teleoperations much more accessible. Because I'm guessing Blair has had to do a bit of practice with the gamepad that is used to control Spot to be able to put down 30-second lap times around the course, because it's not particularly immediately intuitive on how you control the robot when you pick up the gamepad. So yeah.
Yeah, in fact, you don't really need to use only the data that comes from the robot. You can have also sensors around the robot that helps integrate the data that you have from the robots and make the behavior of the robot more robust. Then it's not only about the sensors itself, it's all the environment that you have around and how you collect all this data, and you, in a way, fusion the data to make something intelligent from it.
Yeah. So pass over.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I recently started working when the Robotarium opened in September. So it's not been that long, 8 or 9 months really. Me and Blair work on the same team. Before that, I was a high school computer science and business teacher. So that was fun, but I needed a change. And here I get to see kids come in, do engagement with kids, and then they leave, which is a good thing. And then, so part of our remit is to try and raise the awareness of robotics and AI and see how people can come on and study maybe computer science, robotics and AI in university, and then go on into the jobs in this sector. Anybody else want to say something? Walter, back to you.
So I think we're just getting the robot ready again for another user to try and put down a blistering lap time around the track. I believe it's going to be ready soon. Yep. So the link should be the same one up in the chat. I can try and repost it up so that people have access to it again. Oh, there we go. Cool. So it's the link that's on the screen right now. What kind of latencies are we dealing with? That is a very good question. I don't know if we have a way of measuring that on the double robot. Not directly.
Yeah, so typically not directly. I mean, we're not. It's sometimes it's a little bit annoying. It's unlike, say, if you're gaming, when you quite often get your ping displayed to you or things like that. Typically, I mean, at present, it's quite nice because we have this. I'm going to move into camera. Sorry. Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. Oh, there we go. Because we're actually we're in obviously an operational building. Quite often, we can have some issues with lots of other users on Wi-Fi connections, different EM interference. I mean, actually, within the building currently, we do have a crane right above us, which, if it was in use, would be giving us a bit of interference. Really, just now, we're probably at the optimal aspect for this, but it also does depend hugely on your connection as well. So if you are connecting to us via a nice big sort of broadband connection, you shouldn't have too many issues with latency. If you are going back to the old school dial-up, it's going to take a little bit more of the connection front pretty much for it. So it's a bit more of an issue pretty much for it. Yeah, we've actually got a couple other PhDs as well who have been joining us. So two of them will introduce you to one of them just now. Gilson, one of our robotics experts. Gilson, are you able to sit here? Yep. I shall pass you a microphone. We always like to get everyone else involved. Just give a description of what your PhD has been about pretty much for us.
Okay, I'm about to finish my PhD in neurorobotics. I have designed a model to study Parkinson's disease in robots. Basically, the model is composed of different parts of the brain, like the cerebellum, basal ganglia, thalamus, and cortex. I embedded the model in the robot and trained the model so the robot could coordinate movements in the right arm. And once the Parkinsonian conditions are activated, you can see the change in the robot's behavior, like from the health to Parkinsonia mode. The main idea of building such model is to generate a tool where neuroscientists could use to study the brain, to investigate neurological disorders. And also you can use the same model to not from a neuroscience perspective, but from a robotics perspective. You could use the model to control movements in the robots limbs. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, yeah.
And now you work in the National Robotarium as an engineer.
Indeed, I've been working since December here in the National Robotarium. I work full time here from Monday to Friday, and I've been writing up my thesis like during the weekends. Like, so that's pretty much.
Well, thank you very much, and don't hate me too much to bring you here and explain what is your PhD. Thank you.
Cheers.
Grand. I think we're going to have another person connecting very shortly, if not already. Yeah.
He has gone, but I can tell you, you can, Parkinson has some kind of specific symptoms, for example, tremor, and what you can do is to take the frequency of the tremor and then see how the robot can, in a way, express the same symptomatology and then understand, for example, the behavior. In this way, I have one group of students that were, what they did was to create some skeleton that was in a way attached to a robot, and then try to decrease the level of tremor. With the idea that a system like that can be used for a person with Parkinson and allows him to do better than normal daily activities without suffering so much with this kind of tremor. I hope I answered your question, even if it's not. I'm not doing the research from him.
Great. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that really does a good job of sort of covering the sort of broad range of topics that are being researched here at the National Robotarium. It's really sort of a diverse collection from healthcare, human interaction, all the way down to planning and sort of actual engineering design level stuff. So, yeah, a lot of exciting topics.
Okay, so great. I was going to say, just again, a quick reminder, if you do actually, I'm just going to gradually edge onto camera pretty much. If you do manage to connect, fantastic. Make sure you go all the way down to the bottom and actually hit start. Just I think a couple of people have connected. Maybe they've accidentally disconnected. Maybe they can't reconnect, but it's just be great for actually just trying again. If you have already driven the robot, sadly at this moment we can't really let you drive it again to try and improve your time. If you have tried to do it and for some reason disconnected or whatever in that sense, we can of course let you try and do that again pretty much for it. We're going to go on a quick break just now just to check the robots. The second someone connects to it again, that'd be fantastic. But we should be back in about would say 10 minutes time. We'll be back at dead on 5 o'clock. Okay, so thank you everyone so far and see you in 8 minutes. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Sorry, I'm just going to be switching over the display. Where are we? There we go. We're back. Okay, so someone has just connected. Fantastic. I think it was a James, was it, who's just connected, which is what I like to see. Excellent. We have more people joining the view. Fantastic. So we've had a few people so far connect, drive our robot around. We'll just do a quick refresher with what the goal is. The goal is to follow the marks that you can see on the ground there, get into the center square, have a look at our Misty companion robot that's in the middle there, and then drive all the way around. You don't have to reverse all the way around. You can turn the vehicle around and just drive normally. So yeah, whoever is connected, if you want to give it a shot, just you've taken the parking brake off, which is definitely the start that we're looking for, and then just fire that robot around. If you are having difficulties again with driving the robot around or any connection issues, please post the messages in the chat and we shall have a look. If you are also not sure about how to go around this, we're quite happy to get our resident expert. Is it up at the moment? No, so we have someone connected already. So when that person has either done a lap or we'll give them a minute just to actually see, then after completing the lap, we will put a new link for people. So let's see if they can drive it around. I'm just, oh, yep. There is life in our robot. It can move up and down. So you will be able to see bottom left of the screen. You're able to see one of the big advantages with our double as well is it is telescopic as well. Now, for anyone who knows a bit about physics or a bit about engineering, obviously the higher up you move, the more calculations that are required to balance a Segway-based robot, which is what you are driving. So actually, correspondingly, your speed will drop down. So it benefits you to have the height as low as possible if you want the fastest time. Perfect. Right. I'm just going to wander past the robot and check it's going okay. And there's a view we can see of the robot as well, so everyone can get a good look at the different parts. Right, I'll pass you over to my colleague and I will go stalk a robot.
So yeah, looks like we have a good start so far. Carefully maneuvering around some of the pipes and the pallets. Oh, bit of a collision there. We'll get more speed by lowering the teleop camera there. So very smart play. There you go. Find your way around.
Yeah, and if you have any other question about robots or data, you can write us in the chat.
Yeah, we have a great team of sort of very diverse background. So we'll be happy to answer any questions anyone has about the field of robotics or what we do at the National Robotarium. But it looks like we've almost got into the zone.
Yeah.
Nice. Now I just have to turn around and go back the way to complete the lap. At 2 minutes and 3 seconds right now. Could still earn a place on the leaderboard. It looks like we have a question in the chat. Can the robot create a virtual representation of its surroundings to help teleoperation, like modern cars that fuse surrounding camera sensors? Yeah, so that's a really good question. It definitely can. In some of the views, I don't know if it's whether you can see it in this one or the other double, but you can actually see it sort of estimating the height and sort of depth of three-dimensional objects in its field of view. I think that's because the other double robot that we have has stereoscopic cameras, whereas this one just has the single camera. So when you have those two cameras, you can obviously start to create a 3D representation of the environment. Whereas the one which is being teleoperated right now isn't doing that. It's mainly just relying on its internal sensors, so accelerometers and gyroscopes, to allow it to stay upright and balanced. And then the user mainly controls the direction, and it's not really doing any localization. Oh, we got a bit of a collision with the Spot robot there. But that's okay. Yeah, so the more advanced double robot is able to do that. And then the Spot does that for all 5 sets of its cameras that it has. Each set is stereoscopic cameras that it's using all the time for simultaneous localization and mapping. And so that is our lap time. 3 minutes 51 is the time that's been put down. If you hit park, nice. Round of applause. Yeah, so good job. But yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Oh, Marta, you go.
Yeah, there is also some area of virtual environments in relation with robots, that is digital twins, where you can have some kind of full representation of a place, and then use this kind of digital representation of your environment to do simulations, for example, help the robot to find the path to a specific area, or to train the robot in the way that it doesn't make a mistake and can learn easily, and then later deploy properly the robot into a real environment. All of this is called digital twin.
Yeah, so there's tons of different approaches that are sort of used. Some modern cars will also use stuff like LiDAR, which I believe one of our Spot robots can be equipped with as well. Whereas opposed to just using the cameras, it's also sort of firing off lasers and using the time of flight to build a 3-dimensional map of its surroundings, which is highly accurate. I want to say millimeter or centimeter accuracy. So yeah, pass you back over.
Oh, thank you very much for participation there, and that was a good run. You will actually see, I mean, it's I think very good when you do use the telepresence robots and you get to operate these, that it can actually be quite challenging. If you have a perfect connection, everything's going fine, it's great. Otherwise, you can still, that little bit of lag, you turn a little bit too much, all these kind of things really can make things difficult. And I want you to imagine that you're actually using one of our robots, but using it kilometers offshore, maybe on a wind platform, to monitor something. That bit of lag can make things really tricky, and I have to say, really gives you that sense that everyone needs to have such great patience quite often working with these kind of things. Now, before we put the next person on, I'm just going to invite one of our other PhD students who's currently operating the actual robot connections himself. Oh, we've got one connected already. Perfect. We're still going to get Emanuele, if you want to come here for a second, pretty much for it, just to come here and just give a little chat about actually, because your background isn't robotics, which is a fascinating one, which is really why I wanted to have a chat about where you come from, what your background does.
Yeah, so my background is actually in chemistry, and I did a conversion here when I did my master in AI first, and then applied for PhD for robotics, just because I think like robots are cool, but not only for that, because I did also like a project during my chemistry bachelor in chemistry, and that was regarding AI and how to apply to chemistry. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
What did you do?
Sorry?
What do you do in
In my PhD, I'm working on autonomous decision on robots, and particularly making intelligent decision around humans and in a human environment. So to help people, aging people, or people with disabilities that needs to either live alone and has a robot companion. Yeah.
This is this is linked with what I was mentioned before, that in a way, if you have a robot and it needs to, in a way, find a person in the flat to see if the person is okay, your algorithm will help to find the person.
Yeah. Basically, the robot will help the person either if he's falling or if is doing something, it can recognize what he's doing and help him achieving it. Okay. Yeah.
There is another area in robotics that is the recognizing the activities of people, which help into, for example, help elderly people in accomplish some task, and also collect information from the task and monitor in case of there are medical issues. Then all of this is also done with artificial intelligence and deep learning. And yeah, there are a lot of people working on this currently. Sorry, I missed
Can you switch to the overhead for me? Okay, so again, I think we've just had someone connect. Hopefully they will. Yes, fantastic. As I speak, they have started. Okay, so you know the routine, I hope, by this point. But again, if you've just joined the stream, what I want you to do is start from roughly where I'm pointing, which is where your robot is, go all the way around up here, all the way around our incredibly rusty pipe, further out the back, dodging all the obstacles, up the center here, right to the target zone where I'm standing. Have a look at our Misty companion robot. And perfect. And I'm going to move out of the way before I'm run over by a robot. You can mute me.
Nice job. That is a time of 1 minute 44 seconds. I think that is one of our fastest. So big round of applause from everyone at the Robotarium here. That was a very good lap. Almost perfect. A little bit of a collision with one of the barriers, but no one's counting. Yeah, we're passing the mic over for another introduction.
Okay. Hello. Hi, everyone. So my name is Marta Romeo. I'm an assistant professor here at Heriot-Watt University in computer science. My background is in human-robot interaction. So what I do is trying to make robots a little bit more social intelligent by, for example, understanding when it's not the right time to talk to you if you are having already an interaction with another person or if you're busy doing something. So to avoid to be disruptive. And what I would like to research on and what I would like to see is for this robot to understand the context and the person that they're talking to and adapt to the situation. So I try to apply some machine learning to social environments and see how that goes.
Very cool stuff. So we have a question. What is your favorite robot at the National Robotarium? I guess we could do a little pass around and everyone can say their favorite. Yeah, so I think my personal favorite, I haven't had too much of a chance to actually interact with a lot of the robots firsthand, but just from sort of witnessing people running experiments, I think my favorite would be the Unitree quadrupeds, just because they move very dynamically, and I think that's sort of very exciting from an engineering perspective. The sort of mechanical design that goes into them, I find really fascinating. Sure.
My favorite robot is the Tiago because it does have that social sort of characteristic to it, but it can also do manipulation and it can navigate the environment pretty safely. So that would be my first choice.
I have to say it's a difficult choice for me. I'm a fan of pretty much all of the robots, but probably actually the Spot robot with our manipulator on the top is, I would say, my favorite one. But actually, it's closely followed by one of our agri-tech ones as well, which really is a nice little speedy robot that we have for going around the field doing some monitoring. So yes, that's where I will pass you on to.
Thank you. My favorite robot would be the Miro robot. It's like a cross between a donkey, bunny, rabbit, and it's got sensors, and it's like an assisted living pet. So if somebody that's elderly or somebody who, for example, has Parkinson's, can't have a pet, they can have one of these. It reacts to the sensors in the sense of if you touch it and you're gentle to it, it wags its tail and it makes happy noises. If you're rough with it, then it tries to get away from you and has sensors go red. So it also teaches kids to be gentle with animals. So that's my favorite one. Blair?
Hi, folks. My favorite robot outside of the Spot is probably our Husky robot. Again, quite a dynamic robot. It's got the robotic arms on the top to kind of manipulate things as well. So yeah, definitely a Husky or the Spot for sure. Give it to another one of our PhD students.
Hello, I'm Craig. You'll hopefully be hearing from me in a bit. Favorite robot? That's very difficult because I've had a chance to interact with a lot of the robots here via different public events. But I think honestly, my favorite robot is one of our little teaching robots, the Rosbot Pro. It's a really great little robot for teaching a lot of our undergraduates how to work with the robots and how all the software behind it. And it's a great little platform for them to cut their teeth on and get into the world of robotics.
And the final person, I think, if you want
Um, Sorry, well, I go first. Well, I don't know the name, but I really think they are really cool, the robots that you use for surgery, because I think they can really do great things beyond the human capability, and I think it's a great area. And finally,
Me. My favorite is the Tiago, but the Tiago Plus with 2 arms. So it's great for teleoperation and manipulation, and you can actually have haptics feedback. It's pretty cool.
Okay, so huge range of robots, huge range of people who like the different robots. So have we had any? Nope, that's what your favorite robot. Okay, so we now have the next person. Hopefully, should be. Has anyone connected? Yep. They've connected. Fantastic. So hopefully they're working their way through everything just now. That's perfect. You just need to click the start tele operation for whoever's on there. After this one, again, we will have just a short break, depending how long the person takes to connect. We'd like to get, they're connected. Are they actually going to? It's the waiting and the trepidation for us, because we can see the robot, as you can now on the camera, and we're just expecting to see it brakes go up and flying forward at any moment. So that's really what we're just excited to see. So I'm going to mute myself just now.
Yeah, so we just have a minor error right now, but we're reconnecting the person who is connected so that they will be able to tally up the robot. But we're now going to have a quick word from Craig about PhD life.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Yeah. As I said, I'm Craig Hamilton. I'm a second year PhD here. My research is on neuromorphic sensing, which is a very big word for a very different style of sensor. Typically on robots, what we have are cameras or LiDAR. And with a standard camera, you get an image at a fixed rate every 30, 60, 1/60th of a second, say. But with neuromorphic sensors and event cameras, what we're actually getting is a continuous stream of events that are like little pixel level changes in the environment. So if something gets brighter or darker, or if something moves through the environment. And what we're trying to do is leverage this with other technologies to try and create different modalities for sensing the environment. So right now, my main focus is on 3D depth estimation using a laser. The idea behind this is that we could use it in applications where LiDAR might not be as usable, such as in underwater robotics. Because we're able to use a visible light source with the camera, we're able to get much better ranges than a LiDAR underwater. And we should also be able to get much faster data rates from it, because we're not having to scan the whole scene. We're actually only scanning a very little part of it, the part that actually matters.
Yeah, they can check on that again.
So the link should be ready again. So we should be able to have someone else tally up. Yeah. So Craig, do you think that would be particularly useful in some of these teleoperations situations if you're able to compress the sort of data that's being conveyed across? So you don't need like a full video stream that's sort of having to be compressed. Do you think that would be potentially useful in teleop?
Yeah, so something I've looked at in the past is something known as compressive sensing. So you have very limited visual information to work off of, and you're trying to reconstruct the full image from that very limited information. So you might only have like 4 pixels of usable information, and trying to pull out a very large image from that using some understanding what's in the environment. So what you can do there is, if you do have a camera that's able to produce high resolution images, but you want to limit the amount of data you send, you can run basically a reverse of that algorithm to compress the data down to only data that you would need to then reconstruct that image at the opposite side. So you'd be limiting your image from megabytes in size to potentially only 10 bits of information, send that across, and then reconstruct it. What that requires, though, is at either end you have to have some form of computation, which isn't great because the compressive sensing algorithms do require a lot of algorithmic work in order to actually get usable images back.
Can you switch to the role? One connection. Tell me when. I was about to say we'll take a technical break just to check the robot, but I really should keep saying this because it seems to get the robot to work fantastic when it does. So someone has just connected, and hopefully we're about to get going. So I will be quiet for a while and let the person drive the robot around. Excellent. Great job. And yep, I was going to say perfect turning around, going back to the final part of the lap. On a good time so far. You can mute me. For a sec. We will just take a technical break just now. The robot is fine. I will just put it back on charge. So you can mute me again and switch.
This is No Robots Online.
Yeah. Yep. Well, the robot has survived. Want to also comment on this. This is something very important when you, in a way, prepare the robot to do a task, to see how robust is the robot and what are the failures that it can happen and how you are going to recover from this. Because, for example, if you use the robot in the case of supporting an elderly person and for whatever reason the robot fall and it cannot move, it can be a danger for the person because perhaps it can step over the robot, it can perhaps not see the robot if it's in the dark, which means that using the robot for this kind of frailty activities, it not only requires people really creating the robot, programming the robot, but also thinking in everything that can go wrong.
It's an excellent explanation of a lot of the aspects of robotics, especially durability, that we have to look at. So I'm almost sitting on a pen. That would have been a mistake. So we've just had another person connect, and that's great. We'll have another test run very much for it. Check it's all going, see what kind of time we can post. And after that, we will put it up again. So, calm down. And we have to wait. You're going to get a delayed time penalty. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Unmute me.
A very good time so far, just under a minute. Not quite as fast as the Spot robot, but a very competitive time nonetheless. Approaching the final straight. Very smoothly operated. That's a 1 minute 12. Big rounds of applause here from everyone. Robot's gone a little rogue. But it's been reclaimed. So we'll be posting another link very shortly.
I don't know if they were
Okay, so that was a fast time that we had. Proof the robot is still working. Now, something just to say is when you do connect, one of the things to do is make sure you actually let the robot see your camera. because potentially otherwise that could be one of the issues just now when the camera got disconnected during its sort of little tumble pretty much forward. So it's something, if you are having issues, if you can't actually see where you're going apart from on the stream, please make sure to tell us. Otherwise you're giving yourself less chances of getting a Guinness World Record time for our course here. So like I said, we have a new connection. Please use the connection we have posted. You'll be able to jump on, and then hopefully we'll find someone again to drive it. So we're doing the record. What was that previous time? I'll just pop it up.
1 minute 12.
1 minute 12. That was by John, was it? John, perfect. John. So something we haven't really talked about too much is actually with a lot of these robots, we've had obviously yourselves controlling them. So humans controlling them, we've had ourselves controlling them. It's what we do often to really see how the robots can actually work. But obviously with a robot, you might not always want it to be a manual control. You don't want us to be controlling it. Really what we might look at is more the autonomous aspect. How can we get the robot to navigate itself? Now, this is something a few of my colleagues have touched on. And it's a lot of work we do at Heriot-Watt University and within the National Robotarium, is how can we get the optimal path around a course. So all of us are doing this by eye, going, I think if we do this, if we hit this corner, we get the quickest one. But a lot of the work we want to try and do and really do is, can we get the robot to detect it itself? Is that someone connected? How are we doing? Perfect. Someone has popped on. We're just waiting for it to appear on our robot, and we'll be ready to go. Mute me for a second, please. So we did post one link incorrectly there, so just ignore the one that is a link to StreamYard. If you went on it, you won't find an active one. It was just our practice one to make sure our robot was working perfectly, and our cameras were as well. So let's see, hopefully someone is working through our instructions, readying the telepresence button, and again, we will see the robot off to a blistering start. In the meantime, what we're going to do is just prep the spot for a little bit of a show just now, so a bit of cantering about, maybe a bit of motion that obviously. Oh, yes, that's the spot warming up. I thought that was the other robot going. Yeah, maybe a little bit of dressage practically, but with a robot. So again, please say thank you to our expert spot controller Blair and to our robot as well. This is actually Martina, I should have said. So we have both Martin and Martina are our two spot robots. Please mute me. Okay, we've got Cloud. You seem to be connected, but I don't know if you're having difficulties actually getting the robot to move. If you are, please just ping us a quick message, and we can even send out another link. But just that we see you have connected to it, but our robot isn't moving just now. That's some excellent manipulation work there by the Spot, picking up its bone, and then sadly having to return back to its kennel just now to go to sleep because the battery is about to die. So again, I would say a small round of applause for our robotic operating expert, Blair. And he will hopefully not be putting it to sleep right in front of our other robot, because that'll make life more complicated. Perfect. There we go. So, perfect. Oh, there we go. Okay. Thank you, Cloud, for connecting. If you wait 1 second, we will move our other robot out the way, get it to sit down. And don't worry, we haven't started the timer yet, so get a little bit of practice in. You've got an advantage here. Perfect. If you actually reverse back to the start, we can start the timer. Or turn around for that. There you go. Bit more. Keep going. I realize there is no reversing camera actually on our robot, which does make life a little bit trickier. That's definitely the optimal choice for moving this robot, pretty much for it. Slightly further, and then you're perfect. Now, if you turn around, we will start the clock and ready to go. Okay. I'm not going to give you a countdown because we have a delay. So whenever you're ready and you have the robot facing the right direction, just go. You can meet me now. Am I unmuted? Okay, it's a good job so far. I am going to stand slightly closer to the robot than I did last time, just on the off chance we do some somersault and gymnastics. Okay, fantastic. If you did hear any banging noise there, don't worry, that was our Spot just dropping its bone, so that's all fine. It wasn't part of the robot. Good job. Oh. Little bit backwards. There we go. So this is actually something we do have the odd issue with occasionally with robotics, is this obstruction of view. So what happens if something is occluded behind an object? Typically, if you and I see an object behind a table leg, we know there is still an object there. And almost there, sorry. And stop. Perfect. Good job. Round of applause, everyone. And now I would ask you to put the robot in park, or you can try and reverse if you wish. Angle is fractionally off. So, yep. Just slightly. Oh, in park is perfect. Thank you very much for that. Good job. And I will get that. What is the time? 1 minute 20. 1 minute 20. So just behind John, but that is the second fastest time pretty much we have had. So excellent job there. I'm going to disconnect you just now. Is it one camera, two cameras? One camera. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Good job. Disconnected.
I was have a question for Sarah about how could this technology be applied to real world problems?
So it's an excellent question, I have to say, and it's something quite often we see with robotics. Is people quite often view a robot and they go, "Oh, this is it's fun playing with toys," pretty much for it. Now we don't regard most of our robots as toys. There is the odd one, but really, the robot we're talking about just now, the telepresence one, the one that everyone has been driving around, is one that at least I see a huge potential in. If we can switch back to this one, I can be lazy and sit down. In care homes, I have to say, really working with people who maybe have who have additional needs, who are frail, all these kind of things, where this is such a fantastic robot to reduce isolation, to be able to monitor, to engage with different people. This is something that we really see as a big use for these robots specifically. If we're talking about telepresence in general, any place that you can imagine where you don't want a human to be, maybe it's dangerous, maybe it's offshore in a storm, maybe it's a nuclear area, maybe it's in a mine, all these kind of places that you as a human want to not be, but to put the robot. This is how we can do it. And it's a great way of doing it. You switch to the main laptop mic.
Oh, it's turned back on. Can you hear us now?
It should be a new link.
How about now? It might be this up. Hello, hello. Yeah, okay. You should hopefully be able to hear us again. The audio quality might be a little bit worse, so we apologize for that. But we do have a new mic now in play, which is actually just a webcam.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes. What I was saying is like apart from the scenario I mentioned before about the going if somebody has a problem and some kind of alert happen and to check. You can also use it, for example, to monitor people that cannot go out from home. For example, they need some kind of rehabilitation with this system. You can have the care of the clinician looking at the person meanwhile the person is doing some exercises. Also, you can combine these kind of things with other sensors that can collect information from outside and perhaps use it for monitoring the health or diagnose some conditions.
Yeah, so I think that's gives a broad range of the potential uses of teleoperation. Basically, anytime you don't want a human to be where the robot is, or maybe a human isn't able to access it, sort of how you being able to utilize teleoperation technology is sort of where we would go for that.
So I'm going to be the disembodied voice off camera for a second. We have time for one more person. So we have hopefully just pinged up another link. Well, it's the same link if someone wants to try it. What was the final time for the previous one? Was it one?
Last time was 120.
120. Okay, so 112.
Summary of the leaderboard.
That's right, yeah. I will put that. I will put a summary of the leaderboard. So currently, what we have is we have John in first place at 1 minute 12. We then have Cloud in second place. It is Cloud, yes, at 1 minute 20. Next, we have Cartella at 1 minute 34. Apologies if I did pronounce that horribly. We then have Lizzie at 1 minute 44. And then we have Manala at 2 minutes 18. We are discounting Spot at 31 seconds because Spot was the robot and has done this before. And sadly, Sam, you do have the DNF who did not finish due to obliterating part of the robot that we fixed straight away afterwards. So yes, the time to beat is currently 112. So the last person to compete last person to join.
I was also going to ask you the best robot driver in the lab is.
That's going to be a contentious topic right there, pretty much for it. I would have to say at present that is Blair. Blair has clocked up the most hours, I think, on any of our robots for driving. And if anything does go wrong, we tend to blame him as well. So he's probably the best driver, I would say, for it, at least on our Spot platform anyway. Again, when we went round all the robots we have, gets a bit trickier for each different one. Any other questions? Oh yeah, she was best driver. I can't hear you. Okay, I mean, hopefully over the course of the past couple hours, you've learned a little bit about what we do here. I mean, I would say National Robotarium. We actually, apart from just doing our robotics research, we do also have a lot of robotics companies here, different healthcare companies. Anything that's really developing our pioneering technology, but normally with the robotics element to it. They can come here, we work as an incubator, they work with our academics, and it's a fantastic partnership both for the business and the academic side. We really get the best of both worlds here. And it's a huge opportunity for us to work in these kind of environments. I would say, I hope the audio quality isn't too bad with me. This is the first time I've held a microphone, a webcam as the microphone pretty much for it. And we definitely don't have the incorrect view, otherwise you'll see straight into my brain, up my nostrils pretty much at this stage. But yeah, so I'm hoping everyone's enjoying this. Like I said, we've still got one more, we've got time for one final race around pretty much for it. We'll post that link one more time. Who is the best? Oh, no, sorry, just go. Yeah, I've done that word. And yes, we are ensuring we post the correct link this time before we have to fire our backstage manager here. Or at least demote him to operator pretty much, right? No, don't be silly. Okay. We'll just wait for the final person to, I mean, like I said, keep the questions coming. We have had, all of them have been really good so far, some excellent technical ones, ones that have really made us think and engage with us. So final one. Go on, Claire, have a go. Yes, I would say, Claire, if you wish, please try and join. Hopefully you will manage to connect. If you are having any problems, you can't connect, you get rickrolled. That was one of our PhD students' ideas, which is always a fun Easter egg for us.
Yeah, just one connection.
Perfect.
They need to just click on start.
So we do have one person who has connected. You hit that start teleop after you've read the instructions, of course, always read the instructions. And then please drive our robot. You can So we know there is still someone just joining on, which is great. Again, any problems, pop in the chat. We're just going to put the video back on briefly while we hopefully get that final person doing the rally race around our track. You can hit me. Okay, so it does seem to be we are having some final issues during the day of the double. I really do apologize, and I know Claire, we will enable it again at some point, and you can definitely have another go. Pretty much, where we can figure something out for that. I'd like to thank everyone who's come along and tried our robot, asked us questions. It's always great to engage with different people and just see what curiosities everyone actually has in different questions. Hopefully, we've answered them to your satisfaction. You've enjoyed the activities we have here, and yeah, it'd be great. We quite often have open days. We have different ways we can engage. Please keep an eye on our any of our Twitters, on our social media, on our website. See what we're doing. Come along and join us. We're always happy to answer any kind of questions. So thank you all for doing things. And yeah, I realize I'm blocking a few people here. I should definitely not sit at the front. But yeah, thank you everyone, and we'll see you later. It's great. Bye. Bye. How do I exit?